The Director General of World Trade Organization, NGOZI Okondjo, while on Tuesday met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at Presidential Villa Abuja, where she revealed that the president is not unaware of the pains Nigerians are undergoing at the moment due to the subsidy removal. Well, Okonjo Iweala, who was accompanied by his villa to the villa by former Minister of State for Health and Minister designate Dr. Muhammad Pale, however, explained that her visit to Tinubu was not in her capacity as the World Trade Organization henchman. Well, we salute the courage of Okonjo Iweala, but unfortunately, that is not what Nigerians are yearning for. It's not what Nigerians are clamoring for. This is not the nagging urgent need of an average Nigerian people, not just being aware of the pains of Nigeria. We expect the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to hit the ground running, not just expressing his, of course, feelings or emotions, that he is aware of our pain. We understood he is aware of it, but we are asking for him to act in order to get Nigerians out of this pain. It is have been a usual and a current decimal by any state head of state, of course, to make such affirmation. Even the predecessor did same, but nothing changed at the end of the day. Not just being aware of the pains of Nigeria, what is the way forward? Being the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what can you do in the short term to ensure that Nigerians have food on their table? That is a basic necessity of life, and have security should they move about their duties, and of course a place to hide their head as a shelter. But we've seen such things coming true. That is the nagging need. We don't need any other advice beyond this. What can the president do at this time to get out of the wood? We're already, of course, in this dilemma, in this quagmire. Who shall navigate us through this and give us a more definite, of course, and decisive actions that could be very clear and understood by the Nigerian populace, rather than making this endless rhetorics. Of course, in her capacity as the World Trade Organization henchman, Okonjo, though she said that was not an official visit, possibly she could have been invited by the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, for her advice on the way forward uh, to get out of this unfortunate experience. That the cruise of the meeting was to work out modalities on how to help Nigerians alleviate the sufferings of its citizens. Well, this is what we are looking. How? Is it a rocket science? Shouldn't Nigeria know what are the steps the president is taking, or is government is taking to get Nigerians out of this wood? People are frustrated, just to say the least. People are hungry and hungered. Families are wallowing in abject poverty. People go to bed without food. Go to the streets of Lagos, go to the streets of every Nigerian state. You will wail, you will weep over what is happening. Families, household have no place to run to. Most people's business or capital have been eroded due to the high inflation, which had been the highest in the history of Nigerian state. The purchasing power of Naira seems to have been lost more than 80%. And it's quite unfortunate. Life is becoming unbearable, especially to not just, of course, the average persons, even those who are below average are finding it extremely difficult to survive. It has become an issue of survival, a subject of great concern. What can those advise, of course, due to the dying masses of this country? Honestly, life, I don't understand. I don't know if truly Tinubu understood the pains of Nigerians. He should have given, of course, declared the state of emergency on food, of course, production, and allow the borders to be opened so that there could be influx of food to the states, to this country, so that people will find something to eat. Why should the president or the government continue to shut down borders, especially the southern borders? That is quite unfortunate and uh, insensi- insensitivity, honestly, on the part of the government. And we expect him, it's not a rocket science. You must not seek an advice on to open the borders so that there could be influx of food and to reduce this state of uh, poverty and famine, hunger that is in the land. Well, how long will it take the president to make such decisive, of course, action in a way of alleviating the sufferings of the people? We are not asking how much or how long could the whatever souvenir or palliative sustain the masses. It is not even realistic because 8,000 is nothing to come by. It could not even sustain an individual in 2 days or so. In 2 days, because you needed to get how much is a, a derica of rice now is 1,000, and that may not be the last, of course, price index as this continue to bite harder. Okojo, while we expect you to have done more, tell us what the government is doing, not telling us you will empower small scale businesses to strive. That is on the long run. What can Nigerians, of course, lean on at this particular urgent moment when the survival, of course, becomes paramount to all are sundry in this country? You can imagine how devastating this economy is that the GSK's uh, conglomerates have left the country. You know how many people will be losing their jobs. Retrenchment is, of course, on the high increase. And Nigerians are not finding it anymore easy. People are committing suicide. I mean, the level of depression, of course, depression is something beyond imagination, and something should be done to get people back on the track of course, recovery because the damage has been done. We're looking forward that proactive step pragmatic steps should be taken without any further ado because Nigerians are tired of hearing stories and they need something urgent, of course, and reasonable to be done by the government so that, of course, the confidence of the people could be restored. As it stands now, people had lost confidence in this administration, and that is quite unfortunate. But then Tinubu has enormous responsibility to the people to, of course, redeem his image and reputation. And the promises of the renewed hope should not be seen or perceived to be the renewed hope of hopelessness, of which most Nigerians have expressed deep reservations and disappointment over the renewed hope mandate. Well, that is, by the way, but then let's see what becomes of such programs as being elicited by Okonjo Iweala. Well, he said that the World Trade Organization will support Nigerians. Well, that has been an endless rhetoric, and you can see what is happening. No substantive business could survive under this economic hardship. People are really suffering. Business are winding up, are folding up. I mean, this economy is forcing so many businesses to fold up, and that is not a good sign. That is a bad, negative economic sign, which portends a great danger for the economy of this country. The first thing you must do to war, of course, multinationals or foreign investors is to stabilize, of course, the power or energy production, and also ensure that there is security and the security of life and properties and the, the property or business of those enterprises or multinationals or foreign investors will be protected. And the inflation rate should be tackled. I think these are not rocket science. It does not need IMF advice on what to do. We should look inward and, I mean, peculiarize our problems and the need to address them, of course, locally, rather than focusing on the projections and the indices of World Bank and all that, which has not helped Nigeria. I could remember a time when Nigeria lend borrow money to IMF, but now Nigerians are indebted to IMF. That is quite unfortunate and ridiculous. Well, I hope we will navigate out of this any moment from now. But how soon could that be? Could that be a reality or just a mere world of fantasy that becomes, well, the main, most controversial uh, argument that need to be sustained? Well, on this note, I leave you until we come your way in the next edition. Remain safe. Let's also hear via the comment section what you think, of course, needed to be done with as a matter of urgency to alleviate the sufferings of people. To say that people are suffering is just an understatement. I wish you would have the experience of what people are passing through. So the government shouldn't be uh, aggravating the pains of the people by telling us that you know our pains and refuse to do something. What we are looking up to is to see you act decisively and without any further ado, without any further delay, because it is no longer of suffering and smiling. People are dying, and the existence of humanity is being threatened within the Nigerian socio-political space.